Hey you, it's me, Jenny, and this time I'm joined by Beth, who has drawn her D&D character Gwing.
It's Gwing.
Or is drawing her in this video, currently, rather. So Gwing's pretty cool, right? She's the coolest person in the party, I think.
I guess. Everyone else tells me she's cool, but I feel like in comparison to the rest of the goofy lot, you know, it's not that hard.
The bar's not very high.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also because she's cool, cool of character as well, right?
Yeah, she's got a little bit of not an attitude, but you know.
Mm-hmm. And she's willing to think about the thing before she does it.
Yeah. I think that's the main personality difference with the rest of the party. Pre-planning.
So do you remember when we first started playing? Because Gwing's your first character, right?
She is. She's my baby.
Is she also your first D&D character?
Yep.
Wow.
I remember the first session in which I didn't really know what was going on, and Liam asked me maybe 20 minutes before, do you want to join us? And I was like, sure. I have no idea what this game is. And we're just flicking through the DM's handbook, the player's handbook.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, that one sounds cool.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no context for this game, for what any of the things meant about it.
Mm-hmm.
So she has very much grown with me.
Yeah. So, I mean, because we didn't know what we were doing, she started as a rogue, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And she has multiclass into ranger. I seem to remember at some point you being like, I can have a pet.
Yeah. I want that. Yeah, no. If I rolled her now, she would probably have started as a ranger. But I don't know, there's some of those rogue stats that are real spicy.
Real spicy,
so
yeah.
Not complaining.
So where we are in the animatic, where the animatic opens, we had I feel like we had literally just finished Gwing's story arc, right?
Yes, it literally, Ava joined us just before, and that's because we had just ended there, and then going to Rundar was the step after that.
Mm-hmm. I'm always slightly hesitant to talk about people's backstories that aren't going to come up in the campaign, because I feel like we should do stuff with them. We should have comics or stories or something, rather than just telling them. But do you want to talk about Gwing a little bit?
Yeah. Well, so Gwing's is really interesting because everyone was going through their backstories, and when we started telling each other them, everyone was like, oh, that's so dramatic, I've got this whole thing written out. And I went, I don't. Gwing's normal. The only thing I could think of is partly because I couldn't, imagine this whole big story in my head, but also because everyone else's was so dramatic, and I was like, can Gwing just be normal?
And I said no.
Yeah. So as far as I was aware, Gwing didn't have much of a backstory, and she was pretty regular as a person, the ranger in lifestyle as a job. But then Jenny said no.
I think I must have given you the option to. I at some point I said, okay, so Gwing doesn't remember. Is that okay? And I think you were yeah,
yeah.
And then I think I said, that means that I have control.
Yep.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. So she's because you wrote her backstory basically, and then you told it to me as it went along, and
yeah.
I'm still learning stuff about her now. Very recently, we found these files, and they were files on High Hopes as a party, and in it had some information that Gwing didn't know about herself, where she grew up, the actual town that she's from, and that was wild. And that was a couple weeks ago.
I seem to remember when we were really in the thick of it that you said not to anybody in particular, but you said, oh, it's all fine when we're doing other people's backstories, but now I'm in mine, I hate it.
Yeah. It's so stressful. God. Because you'd like, something would happen and then you turn to look at me and I'm like, buh! I have to react now.
It didn't help that, specifically for you, I roped everybody else in on it as well.
Yeah, there was one specific session where, like, we were really in the thick of it and, everyone sat down and then they, we were playing as normal for a bit and then you, looked around the table and then all of a sudden they all pulled out a script.
Yeah.
And they all looked at me and I was like, oh no. Oh, God.
Yeah, I remember that. I'll be honest, I have never since then experienced such delightful, pure intense glee as when I gathered them all together before we went into that session and said, I've got a script for you. Individually everybody was like, yes. We're gonna fuck her up.
And it did though. It was very good. I don't know how specific we want to be because I do think that we can still do something with her story, and because it's and you were saying that we're not sure what we want to do with these backstories, but Gwing specifically is really fragmented in different chunks of time. Mm-hmm. So I think there's so many really interesting visuals we can do with that. So I don't know how much I want to give away.
Yeah, it's difficult. Because time is a constraint, both sort of in terms of the plot of her backstory, but also in terms of actual production. Yeah. Right.
It happens over 3 different distinct chunks of her life until the present, and I still don't know if there's more stuff, because it was only the other week that I found out, the name of the place where she grew up, so that this could still be more to learn.
Gwing's a half elf.
He is.
It is. I seem to remember that Gwing knows her mum, and her mum is the human.
Yes, she's got a human mother, who's probably not alive anymore.
Okay. Cool.
No.
Gwing. So in that sort of respect, Gwing's multi-classing into being a ranger is also kind of story driven. And she picks up, or she gets given Nyla, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your panther.
Yeah, she's a little panther. She raised her from a little babby.
From a little tiny baby.
I'm not a very good ranger in the terms of using my animals. I never use Nyla in combat because I'm full of fear that she'll die. Because they have no hit points. And because I'm we're level 11 as we're playing, but we're level 7 in the campaign. But because I'm split on levels, I'm not actually that buff in either of them. So I don't actually have much of the really cool rangery stuff that you get slightly higher. So right now I'm far too scared to actually bring Nyla into combat because danger. So she's just my pet.
You're a really aggressive pet.
Yeah, just big cat.
Yeah.
And she also doesn't get drawn very often, with Gwing, but that's purely because I don't know how to draw a really big cat. So, there's that.
I was thinking about her the other day, or maybe even this morning, about how, where we are in the game at the moment as opposed to where we are in the animation. Mm-hmm. You sort of, again, for the same reasons, you don't want her to be injured, and you don't know what's coming up. You basically left her at home.
Yeah.
Right? Being looked after at home.
We left for this sort of the start of this big story arc. And we actually had to travel a long way, and we were going somewhere that we didn't know. And I was worried that first something would happen to her, but also I didn't really know where it was going, and I thought it might be a hindrance. I've also been thinking about how I don't use my rangery thing very well, and how I probably don't want to use the ranger animal I've got in combat, but there's other things you can do with them. So I've been thinking about swapping her out for which sounds mean, but you wouldn't swap out your actual cat, but for something smaller, something that could be useful, like a bird or a because I don't want to fight with them, but to use them for looking, you know, kind of like how Rook does with Xenia.
I was thinking, you know, those videos of like the dude who hand raised these lions goes back to the safari park where they release them or whatever.
Yeah.
and they like fucking sprint at him. That's what it's going to be like when Gwing gets home. That really big
old cat.
Butt. Yeah.
I don't know if we want to talk about how like Gwing's design has changed as well.
Yeah.
Because like the way that you see her now is like, it's like evolved Gwing, right? Like as she has like relearned about her past and stuff, she has sort of matured. Like it's like Gwing is very much like she has grown with me and with the game, because I knew nothing about this as we started, as mentioned.
Yeah, none of us did.
So like her design when we started is like, it really reflects that. Like she kind of looks squishy, she looks young, like the way that her armor is like put on isn't, you know, like I just slapped it together, but
yeah, I feel like one of the reasons why we started the show where Paddy joins us is that I mean, I felt like for me that, I mean, obviously it's quite a good entry point anyway, because Paddy had to learn all of this stuff about the party in the same way that the audience does.
Yeah, so we could show it through his eyes.
Yeah, but for me, it felt like a step, like a big turn in the way that I was DMing, right? Like it's a big step up in the improvement of the writing, and I feel like for some of you that's kind of the same for your characters. Like Paddy joined the party and everybody took a step back, like looked at themselves, at their characters, and thought, okay, we're actually going to play this game now.
Yeah, and that was like 2 years in.
Yeah.
Like because like as your like the story arc started to get more serious and like your writing got better, we were all like, oh shit, there's consequences.
Yeah.
I have to get my shit together now. Like I'm gonna do my research and get the player's handbook back out.
Man, yeah, I still think back to that first session where we put together our characters. We had one handbook between the seven of us. Yeah.
I think it was like Liam's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but Liam had brought it that week.
Yeah. Just passed it around the table.
Yeah.
Everyone was on their phones, like, you know, elven name generator.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, that's where Gwing's name came from. Oh, honestly.
So, and people often ask us why Gwing's hair is blue. I think it's just blue because you like it.
Yeah, I honestly, there's not a huge amount of reason for it. And then, you know, Paddy came along, or Alex came along, and because we didn't have any elves, he's a wood elf, we didn't have any wood elves in the party at that point, he basically got to write wood elf history into Arcaden, and so he came along and was like, no. So now Gwing's blue hair doesn't make a huge amount of sense, but she just has blue hair.
I feel like the world has got dragons in it. You can have blue hair.
Yeah. Mina is blue. Mina is entirely blue.
Mina is entirely blue. That is a good point.
Yeah, it's not that far-fetched. Also, I mean, like, you know, stylistically, it makes her character look real fun. The blue is the bit that pops.
I be honest with you, that Gwing is like a real problem for me, because the stuff that I can counter the Malark and Paddy with, like the full rogues with, I cannot necessarily do with Gwing, because she's got like secret extra stuff.
Yeah.
That's an issue for me, like making like puzzles and just like challenges and stuff that are actually challenging, because man, sometimes I'll write something, I'll be like, hey, this is really good, I'm really smart, and then they put it down in front of you and you're like, well, Gwing just jumps over it. What?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I can't honestly remember, like, because I don't remember where full rogue goes, like, so I don't know what I didn't get and what I do have now. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Her like perception is ridiculously high. Like, it is ridiculously high. Like, my plus on perception is a lot. She sees all. So
should we talk about Rook Lunera
You can if you so desire.
in context of Gwing?
Yeah.
So there was this beholder fight, and it was a bad time, and like I think Gimgar had turned into a statue at this point.
Yeah.
And
this was like in the throes of the backstory as well.
Yeah, it's right in the middle of all the trauma.
Yeah.
And Rook Lunera leans on the Gimgar statue.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst there's like laser beams flying overhead, and he says,
Everyone's on
hey,
fire.
do you come here often?
You want to get coffee after this is all over? And I'm like,
yeah.
Laser beam shoots past his head.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. Gwing and Rook's relationship is so like chaotic. And they're both like, they're both original party members, so they have actually both like been through a lot and like have saved each other's asses like so many times.
It's kind of hard for me to think of Rook without her, to be honest. Now, like before Gwing, Rook was felt much more dangerous. Like he was much harsher, I think. Like a lot meaner.
I was gonna say much more unpredictable, but it's not like he's any more predictable now. But
no.
Normally, he'll start to do something, and then Gwing looks at him, and he's like, "Oh, just put that down. I'm sorry." Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's now when he gets going, there's this moment where he looks over his shoulder at Gwing to just double check, and then he stops if it's bad. Yeah,
when he's like, "Should I summon a greater demon in this room?" And then he looks at Gwing and he's like, "Should probably say no."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would ask what Gwing sees in Rook. So I'm gonna ask that on their behalf.
Oh, God. He's dumb, but like he means so well. Right? Like he's also not dumb, but he's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah.
I don't know.
Got no common sense.
It's also really hard for me to like detach Rook from Matt.
Yeah.
Right? And
of course.
Real world we're dating. So like it's very I can't like our first characters are so each other that it's really hard to disconnect that. But like the D&D versions of us, Rook and Gwing are just like the really amplified version. Like Matt's chaotic, but in this world he blows things up.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has access to the explosions at the snap of his fingers.
Yeah, so different kind of chaotic energy. I don't know, he's a dumb dude, but he's got the spirit. So they're like exact opposites of each other in like stats as well. They like form a cohesive person. Like Rook's -2 charisma is nicely balanced with Gwing's +3.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much for watching this, everybody. Gwing's the best.
She's pretty cool. She's a cool lady. She keeps these kids in check.
We've probably posted some of these before this one, and we're probably going to post some more after this one. But tell us what you think of Gwing down below. I'm sure everybody has nice things to say.
I hope so. Only nice things.
Only nice things, please.
Don't be mean.
Okay, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.